Hey, this is Mark Moore, aka Tuxedo Mark, in various places on the internet. It's 9:32 a.m. according to the computer clock on Thursday, July 31st, 2014. And here's an update on the status of the script for the Castlevania fan film. It's not quite done yet, but it's almost done. Yesterday, I did an insane amount of writing on it, and I went through the rest of the game. I did the Clock Tower stage, stage 3, all the way through to the end of the game. So the game portion of the script is done. Now I'm kind of like on an extended epilogue. Well, not really the epilogue, because the actual epilogue is where Sonia's child is born, but I'm doing what happens immediately after her adventure, how does it affect her life, stuff like that. As it is right now, I finished exactly 45 pages. So far it's 45 pages long. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that one page of script will translate to 1 minute of screen time, although that's the assumption that I'd been working under, but I don't know how long the film's going to be, honestly. It probably won't be 2 hours as I had originally envisioned, which is fine. I mean, if it's shorter and I've said everything that I want to say about the story in a shorter amount of time, then that's fine. The thing is, going through and adapting the game, I mean, it was tedious, but it was also kind of breezy at the same time, because there's a lot of redundancy in the gameplay. There are relatively few enemies in the game, so once Sonia confronts them once or twice, I'm not gonna have her confront the same enemies over and over again, except in a montage, just to quickly show that she's, fighting more of these enemies, but the montage is anywhere from 1 to 3 lines in the script. It just says, Fade to montage, Sonia fighting more of previous enemies, and then I might give some extra instructions of if she has to climb ropes or whatever, but or cross a bridge, stuff like that. But there's a lot of points in the gameplay portion of the movie where, okay, she fights an enemy, she might use a new weapon that she acquired, because I'm having her use the sub-weapons that she gets, unlike in the game where you can't use them. But, so she might fight an enemy, and then what happens next in the game? A bunch more of her fighting things that she's already fought, so it'll just fade to a montage. And then when something new happens again, it'll go back to regular, movie format where if she has to fight a sub-boss or an end-level boss, or if she finds one of the sub-weapons, But there's going to be a lot of fast-forwarding, so to speak, because I'm working off of an 81-minute long play of the game. That's what I was consulting. 81 minutes and 1 second, but anyway. Now here's the thing, because of that, you see, a problem, I guess, that I have is Sonia does not take even one hit in the script as I have it right now. And that's because that's the way I was in in the long play that I viewed, except for like one death, which I think was done deliberately so that the player wouldn't have to go through a lot of the same stuff again. He used like a death as a shortcut, or she. But anyway, so I might have to make things a bit tougher for Sonya, because she doesn't get hit, so she doesn't use her, I forget which soul weapon that is at the moment that restores her strength. She doesn't use that. She doesn't use the magic weapon. I believe it's called a demon weapon in Japanese. That's the one that destroys all of the enemies on the screen. I don't think she uses that, but I might have to put in a situation somewhere where she has to do that, like if she's ganged up on or whatever. But, yeah. I have her make use of the sub-weapons more than the soul powers so far. What else can I tell you? Oh, she talks with Death, the Grim Reaper. She has a conversation with him. That doesn't happen in the game, but I figured, Death has been shown to talk in other entries of the series, and I think I can come up with something interesting. So I wrote out a scene where, before they fight, they talk. And I think you might find it kind of interesting. I don't have her talk to any of the other sub-bosses or end-level bosses except for Alucard and Dracula. I could have had her talk with Medusa, I suppose, or maybe the Executioner, or whatever. Or the Minotaur. No, I'm not going to have her talk to a Minotaur. But anyway, I couldn't really think of anything else for her to discuss with her enemies. So she talks to Death, she talks to Alucard, and she talks to Dracula. Most of the other time during the gameplay portion of the movie, she's pretty much silent. But yeah. Anything else? It's the gameplay portion when I'm running it out. It's kind of, I'm trying to avoid redundancies, and there's not much that I can do to actually liven it up, I guess. But just as so far, I don't have very many instructions for switching camera angles in the script. I suppose, and I'm guessing probably when I eventually get around to recording this, is that a lot of the fighting montage or questing montage type of stuff, I suppose there will be a lot of times where the camera will have, where there will be insert shots of Sonya, whipping or thrusting her dagger or swinging her sword or whatever, and then an insert shot of an enemy that reacts to it. I'm not sure how all of the enemies will be done, but I figure it'll probably be easier to do these separate shots on their own and then edit them together, as opposed to having Sonya and the enemies on the screen at the same time. At least for the montage stuff, because a lot of that will probably be figured out in post-production, so it would probably be good to just record a bunch of, attacks with the camera on Sonya, just facing her, and her reactions and stuff, and then film a bunch of enemies on their own. Um, I got this idea actually from the Star Trek: The Next Generation, the Best of Both Worlds Blu-ray. There was I think during the audio commentary they mentioned that when they're firing on the Borg, when they're on the Borg ship, they filmed the main actors separately and they filmed the Borg drones separately and then just assembled them together. So that would probably be a good way to do that, and I'm not sure how much will be done on location. Probably just the outside, the outdoor stuff, honestly. And the indoor stuff, especially for the castle, a lot of it's gonna be like, it has a brick wall background or caves or whatever. I'm not sure how that's gonna be done yet, honestly. Maybe like a large photograph background or like a green screen. I don't know yet, honestly. But I'm trying to put in as much stuff from the game to at least acknowledge it. Like, Sonya carries around a sword, even though she doesn't have one in the game, but it's in the box art. Yeah, and in a lot of the character artwork, she's got a sword, and I put that in there, and she actually uses it, and she uses the axe, and she uses the dagger. I think she even uses the stopwatch once, the little watch that she gets to freeze time, and the holy water. I haven't had her use the cross. I'm gonna have to put that in somewhere. That was an oversight on my part. But yeah, I don't imagine the script will be much longer. Probably around 60 pages when I'm done. So I gotta do some more stuff in the present time, so to speak. The year 1450. Just showing like the aftermath of Sonya's battle, and maybe go back a bit and add in some more stuff that has to do with daily life for Sonya. Try to establish more of her world, like the world that she lives in. Maybe put in some kind of class conflict or religious conflict and stuff. There's a secondary character, two secondary characters actually, that I haven't even named in the script. I gotta give them names. Okay, here's something, a bit of a big problem, actually. Alucard. Alucard shows up only once in the game, and that's when Sonya comes across him in the castle. About midway through her journey, I guess. But anyway, probably like the latter part of her journey, I guess. And the dialogue in the game between them, where they call each other dear, and he calls her my beloved, my beautiful vampire hunter. Okay, I transcribed all of that and I put it in the script. But here's the thing. In the English, in the North American game, which I took this dialogue from, obviously, it's not a problem. Because the only thing that exists in the North American instruction manual is that the wheels of fate were set in motion one night when she met the enigmatic Alucard, who was searching for the father that deserted him. Something like that, basically. But it doesn't say anything else. Now, in the game, based on the dialogue, it seems they had some kind of student-teacher relationship, and it seems that they were lovers, possibly, or at least they were very close. Now, in the English translation of the storyline from the Japanese instruction manual, it goes into a bit further detail, and not about Sonia and Alucard, but about the fact that the night that she meets him is the same night that, upon returning to her town, she finds that her mansion has been attacked by Dracula's underlings, and her grandfather is near death, and when he dies, she takes up the whip and she goes to a castle to confront Dracula. So, the night that you're playing as her in the game is the same night that she had met Alucard. There really simply isn't any room for some kind of deep, meaningful relationship to have come up between them. Now, I think I might go back in and try to expand the scene where they meet, in the script. Maybe he gives her some kind of lesson, because she says something like, we must make our own choices, or we must decide our own fate, or something like that. And she said, it was you that taught me that, Alucard. I might have them fight a bit, like he tests her strength, because in the game he says, I had no idea you'd become this powerful, and it looks like now I'm the one that has learned a lesson, something like that. I might have them fight and maybe flirt a bit, but there really isn't any space in there for them to fall for each other, really. But I'm going to try to smooth it out as best as I can. But I'm not having Alucard knock up Sonia. No, that's just not going to happen. So I think this should definitely lead to rest the theory that Alucard is Trevor's father, and that Dracula is Trevor's grandfather. So, and that the Belmonts are related to Dracula. So that's not going to happen. Here's an interesting thing about the ending of the game, like the epilogue where Sonia has a child. It says that the child will face the Prince of Darkness, but that's a legend to be told another time, or something like that. Now, I noticed in the entire text where it talks about her child, it never uses a pronoun. It never says if the child is male or female. So I started thinking, well, is it Trevor? I mean, it might be a girl. Now, here's the thing. If it's a girl, why would she go up against Dracula? Because obviously Trevor would go up against Dracula just 26 years after Sonia in 1476. And I thought, what if Sonia gets married to a certain Mr. Belnades and then gives birth to Sypha, who also has magical powers, whereas Trevor isn't shown to have any. So I thought, well, possibly. But then, who is Trevor's mother? And it said in the instructions that Sonia is the forerunner. She's the one that leaves the name of Belmont to posterity as a vampire hunter. So, Sonia has to give birth to Trevor. And she has to pass along the name Belmont. So here's what I'm going to do when I eventually get around to writing this. Sonia is going to have Trevor out of wedlock. So I know having her get knocked out by Alucard would be like the most obvious solution to this, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have her realize that she has to continue her bloodline. Just because Dracula might someday return. And so she has to do this, whether she wants to or not. So she has a child. So that's how I'm gonna handle it. She's just gonna get together with like one of her male servants or whatever. So I don't know. What do you think about all of this so far? Let me know in the comments. Other than that, the script is pretty much done. I'd say it's like 80-something% done at this point. I'll post another update once the first draft is done. And that's it for now. It's 9:54 a.m. and thanks for watching.